Good evening. Pulled the audio down on that a little too quick. Sorry. You guys don't care. You're probably tired of hearing the intro song. Wow. Where to even begin? Tonight's show I'm going to keep probably a bit short. I've got some stuff I'm going to go over, but I'm just not with it. I'm just not with it. I'm just not with it. I've got a couple of things I was going to talk to you about. One of them, I have to do a lot more homework on myself. And once I do, I don't know if it'll be Sunday or some point before then. I'll probably put out a video on it. I can't promise that. I don't know because I don't know what I'm going to find out. But there was a video that was put out, I believe, I was told today. Let me double check. Oh, no, March 7th. Sorry, March 7th is the date of the video. However, it's very interesting. It's, well, it's from the FBI. And it's, the title of the video is, Made in Beijing, The Plan for Global Market Domination. And I'm going to get more to that here in a little bit. Like I said, I can't talk to you about the video because I myself have not seen the video yet. So I will get to that. However, I do have somebody given me kind of cliff notes on their take of it, and I will go over that with you, as well as if folks want the link or whatever, I'll give them the link to the video. Oh, you're welcome, lady. I just happened to look up and see that. We try. That's all we can do is try to bring you the best information we can. Sometimes it's a little hard. Sometimes, especially with this stuff going on over in Europe right now, that's a little hard to stay on top of because you don't know which source to trust. So I kind of try to take in a few different sources and then kind of try to pin the tail on the donkey with the news. So, so this stuff with China is very interesting, and it definitely adds up with everything else that's going on, and a lot of suspicions that I've had, and it's crazy. But I got some other stuff too to go over with you on. I've only got technically I got 3 tabs up, so it's going to be a pretty quick and easy show tonight. It's my Friday. What can I say? I don't know. I just want to put a bow on the day. Let's see. I ran across this other article when I was perusing the web. And I don't have anything really big to talk about, any subject in particular, but this struck me, and I feared that this was going to happen for a while, and apparently it's a thing now, and unfortunately I think it sets a really bad precedent. Let me take you on over to the web view here. Oops, that's that video. Let me take you over to the web view here, and as the headline says, Illinois students punished with costly tickets for misbehavior. Now, some people might instantly think, right, that, hey, that's a good idea, nail those kids, don't, stop letting those kids rule the school and do this, that, and the other thing. The problem is this is conditioning. These are things that used to be taken care of by the principal, and now, now it looks like police are taking care of it. But here's the thing. This is crazy. And I'm not going to read it's a pretty long article. But it says here, The courthouse lobby echoed like a crowded school cafeteria. Teenagers in sweatshirts and sneakers gossiped and scrolled on their phones as they clutched the yellow tickets the police had issued them at school. Abigail, a 16-year-old facing a $200 penalty for truancy, missed school again while she waited hours for a prosecutor to call her name. Sophia, a 14-year-old, looking at a $170 in fines and fees after school security caught her with a vape pen set on her mother's lap. A boy named Cameron, who had shoved his friend over a Lipton peach iced tea, hey, I've seen worse, we all have, in the school cafeteria, had been cited. Well, it wasn't Lipton, was it? It wasn't Arizona? No, it wasn't Arizona. I forget what it was. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, had been cited for violating East Peoria's municipal code, forbidding assault, battery, and affray. Affray. What the hell is affray? Hang on. Because I don't know. And we got to get to the bottom of this. This is some important stuff here. An instance of fighting in a public place that disturbs the peace. An affray. Anyway, he didn't know what the phrase. Oh, well, hell, I literally will be 50 years old next month, and I didn't know what the phrase meant. So, young 12-year-old, don't worry, brother. Anyway, says he was wrong for what he did, but this is a bit extreme for the first time being in trouble. He isn't even a teenager yet. Shannon Poole said her son signed a plea agreement that came with $250 in fines and fees. They spent 3 hours at the courthouse as Cameron missed math, social studies, and science. And I'm not going to go on and read all the other. But I wanted to talk to you about this because, like I say, in my opinion, this is setting a dangerous precedent, and what they're doing essentially is they're not just teaching your kids about math and about English. Well, hell, they don't even teach about math and English and stuff anymore. But anyway, they're not teaching you about all the wacko stuff that they are now. What they're doing is teaching you basically about the penal system, and not necessarily not to do it, because fines aren't going to do that. They're doing that part for the money. But they're also getting the kids getting used to this type of a system. See, because it's not about preventing. Don't let them kid you. It's not about preventing the actions from happening. It's basically about being able to punish for when they do. I know that may sound strange. Look, if a drunk driver hits another vehicle and kills a family of 4, there is a chance, a fairly good chance I might add, that before the end of their time they will see the light of day and enjoy the same fresh air as we do. Even though they killed a family of 4 people because they were drunk and went driving. Okay? I've got big issues with that. Huge, giant issues with that. I am hell on drunk driving, if you don't know. And I don't, they're not words to make it sound like, ooh, well, I go out and get drunk and drive. For one, I don't drink and I don't drive. So, hey, doing both at the same time is really not going to be a possibility. But I can't say I have never drank and drive. That would be a lie. But I didn't do it a lot, and it was definitely in my younger, stupid days. But I never, all but once, I never got stupid, sloppy drunk and tried to drive. I did once. And I made it, but I'm not saying, but that's not going to stop it. And it doesn't. Look at how many second and third and beyond offenses the drunk drivers get. And I'm not just picking on them, but it's a great example. They don't learn. They don't learn. Why? Because, well, they do learn. They learn that if they can come up with the money, they can continue on with life as normal. That's what they learn. If they can they can do what they want as long as they have the money to pay for it. And that's exactly what these kids are being taught right now in school. That, hey, the penal system, hey, you pay your money, your bribery, right? And you're good. I am not okay with this system. Now, I'm not saying, obviously, not to do anything. But I think, number one, I think most of this stuff should fall back onto the school. And keep the law enforcement out of it. The vape pen, that should have been handled within the school. I personally think truancy needs to be handled within the school. I know that's been, for quite a while, that's been something that police have kind of went in on. Assault, yeah, that's a police thing, and I believe that. I believe that. I don't think that an assault on school campus should be handled within the school. I do believe that is something that law enforcement needs to be brought in on, and that it needs to be a point needs to be made. An example needs to be made. Not just something to where we get a sign, or, you know what I mean? I mean a fine, a sign. I don't know why I said sign. But a fine, or, you know what I mean? But an example. And I don't have the answer on what that would be, but I don't have all the answers, but I can certainly tell you what things aren't going to work, and this type of a model, what would you call it, a discipline model or whatever, is not going to work. It's actually going to make the problem worse. So I just I saw that, and I wanted to bring it along. I knew that they were starting to incorporate fines in schools. I knew that it mostly had to do with truancy. And I started hearing that they were kind of coming in with other things and starting to fine as well. And from my understanding, some schools are real stupid with fines. I mean, all kinds of stupidity you can get little bitty fines for. So I'm not good with this. This is not how we need to be teaching kids. And you know what? Homeschool is the answer to it all. So this happened, which is not good. This is certainly going to escalate the situation even further, as if we needed that. U.S. Congress approves World War II-like weapons program for Ukraine. U.S. House of Representatives has approved a bill that would remove several constraints on sending weapons to Ukraine. By the way, I got a convoy. I want to talk about the convoy tonight, too, for a real short time. Don't worry about it. It's going to be a real short time. Let me do that now. Just real quick. Let me get that Band-Aid ripped off and out of the way. So I haven't been keeping up with the meetings or anything like lately because, well, I'm just going to be frank with you. It's a joke. The convoy, as in the People's Convoy. I want to be clear. When I'm speaking, I am speaking about the People's Convoy official. Not any of the other convoys going around, because I haven't been following any of the other convoys going around. There's several. The People's Convoy official, at this point, is a joke. There's literally a handful of participants at this point. I think there are a lot of people that really caught on quick whenever the whole nonprofit thing was moved towards, and I think that really did a number. Also, before they left Hagerstown, Maryland, they had a meeting in which one of the organizers had announced a rule about flags, about what flags they wanted people to have and which ones not to have. And I understand the sentiment behind what they were saying, But when you're involved in something to where you're pushing for freedom, the last thing you want to do is start telling people what flags. And they weren't, now don't misunderstand me. They weren't talking about swastikas. They weren't talking about, they weren't even talking about Confederate flags. Okay, they were talking about like Trump flags, for instance. They didn't want any Trump flags flown or any political flags. The only flags that they wanted flown were the United States flag and the states flags. That's it. That's the only flags that they wanted flown. And that, I think, you could tell. You could tell by people's reaction. When he said that, there was a ton of people at that moment that was at that meeting that right then, they didn't even stick around for the rest of the meeting. They turned around and they walked away. And watching the chats from the live streams that evening, people were hot. And they lost a lot of support that night. A lot of support. And then they lost more support as far as their trip to California went. There were a lot of people that kind of weren't in agreement with that mission. And so there's support loss from there. And then ever since then, it's just been a steady trickle down because basically, I'm just going to word it the way I'm going to word it, and that is they're showing their true colors, and people are catching on to what it is. It's nothing different than any other fundraising joke like the other organizations that are out there, and there's too numerous to name. That side of things, and at this point, I think there's probably more feds than there are convoyers anyway when it comes to them. But then even over on the Telegram side of things, which isn't the quote-unquote official convoy, they're being led around by the nose by a Fed over there. So, yeah. Just if you got something going on, if you see something and you state, there's nothing wrong with in Facebook putting in the People's Movement. The People's Movement, space, and then the state, whatever state you're in. The People's Movement, not the People's Convoy. You may or may not find a group of good people that are planning something in your state. Illinois here, they're, as far as I know, a group of good people that are planning something within the state. They've got a rally and stuff like that planned and all of that. So if you want to get involved in your states. Stay far away from the feds because they're crawling. And I mean crawling. And I can't believe these folks over on the Telegram side they're either complicit or be nice. It's one of the two. They're either complicit or they're that damn dumb. Anyway, because it's obvious, dude. It's like flaming Fed. So anyway, I could show you the video. You'd see the video. You'd see exactly what I mean. Trust me. Anyway, continuing on. U.S. Congress approves World War II-like weapons program for Ukraine. The U.S. House of Representatives has approved a bill that would remove several constraints on sending weapons to Ukraine amid the ongoing Russian offensive. Adopted by the Senate earlier this month, the Ukraine Democracy Defense Lend-Lease Act, that's a hell of a phrase to get out, revives the program Washington used to send military equipment to the belligerents in World War II while officially staying neutral. Proxy war. The final vote on Thursday afternoon was 417 to 10, with 3 members not voting. All the Democrats voted in favor, while all of the 10 members opposed were Republicans. Introduced by Senator John Cornyn of Texas, the bill was passed by Senate on April 6, but the Democrat-dominated House adjourned for a 2-week Easter recess before taking it up. Now for the important part. It authorized the White House to lend or lease defense articles to Ukraine or any Eastern European countries impacted by the Russian Federation's invasion of Ukraine to help bolster those countries' defense capabilities and protect their civilian populations from potential invasion or ongoing aggression. Cornyn's bill does not create a new program, but rather makes it easier for President Joe Biden to send weapons to Kiev by suspending limitations imposed by two existing laws, one of which caps the length of aid at 5 years. Let me repeat that. President Joe Biden, I guess I got to read the whole thing, sorry. Cornyn's bill does not create a new program, but rather makes it easier for President Joe Biden to send weapons to Kiev by suspending limitations imposed by two existing laws, one of which caps the length of aid at 5 years. Anybody see anything with that? We're on year 1. What do they plan on? However, the whole thing is conditioned on Ukraine having to pay for the return of and reimbursement and repayment for defense articles loaned or leased to it. Kiev's ability to make such payments is questionable since the Ukrainian government is currently asking the U.S. and the EU for $7 billion per month just to keep paying salaries and pensions. How do you like that? How do you like that? Your tax dollars are going to pay for their politicians' pensions. Because that's important in the war effort. I got nothing. I don't have any good answers. I can only think of one. I said I don't know any good answers. When I said I can think of one, I'm not listing that under a good category. But I can only think of one answer. This has got to stop. I'll just continue. I'm I'm in a rare frame of mind. It just really gets me to know that there are veterans right now on the streets starving, hungry, cold. And I'm not trying to play an emotional roller coaster on you. This is a fact. And sadly, it's a fact way more often than it should be. In many cases, they need extensive mental health help and whatever the hell they need. You know, I can't have the answers for them. There is no one answer. It's every person is an individual, and you have to treat them as such. There is a way to get them out of where they're at mentally. But there has to be an honest attempt made to do it. And not just shoving pills and not just all the bullshit that the VA does. I mean, that's the most frustrating thing about all of this is it can be fixed. I've got some OCD things about my personality, and one of them is broken things. Right? And if a broken thing can be fixed, and if there's everything there to fix it, then you damn well ought to fix it. Right? Why leave it broken if you can fix it? But yet, we're sending tons of money and support to take care of other countries' politicians because they're dealing with an invasion because them, as well as many other nations, kept poking and poking and poking Russia. I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. Frustrating. But that's what's going on with your money. This is that video that I was talking about earlier. And like I say, it was looks like it was uploaded March 7th, 2022. It is literally on the FBI Federal Bureau of Investigation's YouTube channel because they need a YouTube channel. And it's titled Made in Beijing, The Plan for Global Market Domination. Now, again, I haven't watched this yet. I do honestly plan on watching it. It won't be tonight. I'll probably watch it tomorrow because I want to be able to pay attention and soak it in. However, I was given, and hopefully she don't mind, share her take on it. Because, well, again, without seeing it, I don't know it. But I think, from the way it appears, I think she did a really good job here. And so I'm going to read you what she wrote on it. And then you can kind of choose if you want to maybe go check it out, whether or not you feel you need to. I personally think it's something probably that we need to understand that's going on. There is so much going on, you know, and there are so many evil entities working to bring this country down that you got to take in as much of the information as you can. That way you might have some kind of an idea if there is anybody out there that you can trust when things go sideways. That last bit of information is going to be crucial. But anyway, this is what she wrote. She wrote, "We have been at war for a while now," and some of this is her take. Oh, well, it may all be like her take, but it says, "We have been at war for a while now. This seems to me to be a look at what we've done to protect you from the bad guys, but they gloss over and barely cover the involvement of traitorous American citizens. China is bad for sure, but we have many Americans who will willingly sell our nation for some money, or sell out our nation for some money," and that's absolutely true. It's even more nefarious than what this video shows. When companies manufacture a part in China for something they're creating here, China requires them, and some of this stuff I'm aware of, China requires them to provide full schematics for everything that the part will be used. It's basically hand me the keys to your intellectual property, and I'm aware of that. President Trump put a stop to it while he was in office, aware of that as well. Administration Potato Head immediately rescinded that. Hey, I'm just reading. And gleefully. Immediately rescinded that. Now they're back to stealing 100% of intellectual property of anything but or anything being manufactured in China. Sorry. Okay, I've been reading ahead just in case. Also, I find this highly suspect that it's made by one alphabet soup agency. Why? Are they trying to paint a picture in advance of the attacks? What they may blame their ineffectiveness on once China uses our technology against us. So, and then she added, it's an interesting video. I can see how they cherry-picked facts and the slant they gave it. So, and again, I haven't I haven't watched it. But it's to me, that's a must watch. And I highly recommend watching that. I do have an article involving China up, and that's the last article I have up. And by the way, let me just throw that in chat for anybody that might want the link to that. If you're not in chat and you're watching the recording of this later, you're probably going to have to Google it. I can add it. Hang on. I'll add it later. I'll add it in the description. Anyway, I got one more article open for you, then we'll get busy with some headlines. China slams U.S. and U.K. over Taiwan. It says here, Beijing has condemned statements from London and Washington about arming Taiwan, pointing out that such talk fuels separatism on the disputed island and goes contrary to the recognition of China. UK Foreign Secretary Liz Truss and U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken had both come out in support of sending weapons to Taiwan this week. We deplore and reject Secretary Blinken's statement at a congressional hearing on April 26 that the administration is determined to make sure that Taiwan has all necessary means to defend itself against any potential aggression, Xi Yingjun, head of the Information Department at the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, tweeted on Thursday in reference to multiple outlets just noticing Blinken's statement. As he was echoing the words of MFA spokesman Wang Wenbin from the news briefing on Wednesday, Wang told reporters that the U.S. statements clash with their recognition of Beijing and the one China policy, and encouraged Taiwanese separatists by selling weapons to the island. The U.S. admits that Taiwan is part of China, but keeps talking about the mainland's potential aggression of Taiwan. Isn't this self-contradictory, since a country cannot invade part of its own territory, said Wang. We have the stern warning for the U.S. side. The historical trend of China's reunification cannot be held back, and the one China principle is what underpins peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait, Wang added, warning Washington to not underestimate the strong resolve, determination, and capability of the 1.4 billion Chinese people in defending national sovereignty and territorial integrity, or risk bringing unbearable cost to the U.S. itself. During Thursday's briefing, Wang also addressed a speech by the British Foreign Secretary in which Truss argued for a global NATO to engage in the Indo-Pacific and arm Taiwan the way the UK and its allies are now arming Ukraine. So, basically, in my opinion, we're not very far from seeing a very similar situation in Taiwan as what we're seeing in Ukraine right now. China is being very clear. It cannot be mistaken what their intent is, and I think it's pretty clear and obvious that they intend to resolve this sooner rather than later. And I absolutely believe that the United States and the UK and Lord knows who else is going to send them weapons and support and all of that nonsense. And I have a feeling that's just ticking. Now, could that be sped up? Absolutely. If there's a major event that unfolds involving Russia and what's going on in Europe, yeah, I think that's going to be a green light for China to move in. Is that possibly a plan? Very possibly. Very possibly. On the same note, if that isn't the plan and that isn't what they do, if we just continuing and start sending weapons and stuff like that to Taiwan, which I'm sure we have been, I think it's going to come unglued. I think that we're going to push that situation much like we helped push the Ukrainian situation. It's really sad to think of how much unrest that the United States has caused around the world. The amount of blood that's on the hands of American politicians. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Alright, let me have a sip of coffee, a couple of vapes. Oh, man. That dude sounds too smart for me. Somebody commented on last night's video. Actually, it looks like a well-educated comment. Like, way up there well-educated comment. Talking about pandemic stuff and, you know. Looks interesting. I'll have to read that. Try to understand it. Seriously, it looks like the guy is, I'm assuming, but on the gender, but because the name I'm not sure, but that looks pretty impressive, to be honest. Anyway, sorry. Hey, if you want to impress me, there's only one thing that's going to do it. It's not fancy cars. It's not a big house. It's not how tough you are. No, it's what's between your ears. If you can hold an intelligent, mature conversation with me, you've got my utmost respect. That is what impresses me. Nothing else. Nothing else. Alright, let's do some headlines and call this a week. Starting off with all news that I put out this morning. Elon Musk reveals his cocaine plan. Yes, his he tweeted, and he was just trolling, but he tweeted that he was going to buy Coca-Cola and put the Coke back in it. It's priceless. Anyway, Australia accuses China of election meddling. EU country receives gas threat. And a lot of that stuff's happening too with the gas over there. Biden urged to confiscate Russian assets. Thought that was nuts. Polish households left without gas. And not to make light of a bad situation, but that might be a good thing in Poland because their food's kind of spicy. Kidding. Send all the hate mail to, I don't know, what's Biden's email? European country says no alternative to Russian gas. Russian spy boss reveals Polish plans for Ukraine split. Meta profits crash. Let's see. Ukrainian ballistic missiles intercepted, says Russia. EU to comply with Russia's payment terms, says media. Biden to ask Congress for new powers to seize Russian assets. Poland is still buying Russian gas, says Gazprom. Bulgarians want Russian gas back. I'm telling you, it's going to cause a lot of problems and very likely a lot of instability. Just the gas situation alone. Musk may fall in Twitter mission, or may fail, sorry, misread that. Musk may fail in Twitter mission, says the Kremlin. Biden to seek $33 billion more for Ukraine. Russia reminds Germany of how World War II ended. U.S. economy hit by unexpected slowdown. Well, maybe they didn't expect it, but India looks to scoop up offloaded Western assets in Russia, says media. Kremlin accuses Britain of threatening European security. And see, that's the other stuff that we have to remember. You know, again, it's not just Russia and the United States. We're just one country, and we're not even neighbors, right? They've got a lot of countries over there that they're going up against too. So that's why I'm saying that this is backing Russia into a corner. I do think that this is going to get ugly as far as with Russia, because they're backed in a corner. Germans react to energy shortages and Ukraine aid. Sweden to reject referendum on NATO membership. Poland announces massive military drills. Poland denies secret plan for Ukraine. I covered that. And that. Harvard acknowledges history of slavery and eugenics. And let's see, lastly here, troops accuse Pentagon of religious purge. So, those are the headlines. Fun times. Anyway, I am going to mosey on out and try to relax, whatever that means. And God willing, I'll be back Sunday. So I hope everybody has a good weekend. I hope to see you on Sunday. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.